Okay, recording and transcribing are ongoing again. Thank you, sorry.
Thank you, Laura. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Erica Branch from the Cook County Department of Planning and Development. I will give us 2 minutes before I start the presentation because there are still people coming in who only wanted to view the CDBG Public Services Planning and ESG portion of this presentation. So we will begin promptly at 3:02.
You're muted.
Thank you so much, Tara. Again, welcome everyone to the 2024 Community Development Block Grant Public Services Planning and Emergency Solutions Grants Application Workshop. Today is Wednesday, January 31st. Thank you very much. So we're going to go through this, a lot of information if you guys were here during Sylvia's presentation. A lot of information is the same, but there are some drastic differences between capital improvement and public services. So applications must be submitted via the online application. Submission forms, no paper copies or email applications will be accepted. Even with that, let me take one step back. Let me introduce to you the members of our Public Services and Emergency Solutions Grants team. Pamela White, if you want to show yourself for a second.
Hi, everybody. Our cameras are disabled.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. But thank you, Pam. We have two new staff members who will be working with CDBG Public Services, Mr. Ricardo Asensio. Did you say hello?
Hello.
Also, we have Mr. David Collier King.
Howdy, folks.
They will be working on CDBG and David will be working on ESG and CDBG. So please make them feel welcome. Those of you who are return applicants, please understand that I will be monitoring these two new individuals and I will let them know if you all are trying to kind of razzle the substitute teacher. No, they are full on Department of Planning and Development employees, and they are trained by myself, Ms. Pamela White, Cheryl Cook, etc. So back to the application, you guys. Nonprofits may apply for one CDBG capital improvement project and one CDBG public service/planning project plus one ESG project. Otherwise, there is a limit of one funding application per grants agency. All 2024 CDBG proposed projects must be consistent with the moving to implementation consolidated plan for our proposal of how we wanted to use funds for 2020 through 2024. We are in our final year of our previous 5-year consolidated plan with HUD. And each year we must let HUD know how we propose to use those funds through our annual action plan. You can find moving to implementation here. Please make yourself familiar with this plan. Okay. Also, your application must be consistent with the Cook County Policy Roadmap, which is here. Okay. I'm sorry, you guys can see that. I apologize. That is the moving to implementation consolidated plan. If you click the link in the presentation, and this is our Cook County Policy Roadmap. Your application must be consistent with both. The deadline for submitting all applications is Friday, March 22nd, 2024 at 5 p.m. Applications received after this date and time will not be accepted. No exceptions at all. Applicants will lose 15 points for each required document not submitted out of 100 points total. Sorry, having an issue doing this. Oh, sorry. I think I went previous. Oh, let me explain to everyone here. I will toggle between CDBG and ESG. So please pay close attention. Okay, so the CDBG program history and overview. The Community Development Block Grant is authorized under Title I of the Housing and Community Development Act of 1974. The primary objective of Title I of HCDA is the development of viable urban communities, achieved by providing the following, principally for persons of low and moderate income. We look to provide decent housing, a stable living environment, and expanded economic opportunities. Please note that no less than 70% of CDBG funds must be used to support activities that benefit low and moderate income persons. The Emergency Solutions Grants Program History and Overview. The Emergency Shelter Grant please follow me, the Emergency Shelter Grant was amended by the Homeless Emergency Assistance and Rapid Transition to Housing Part Act of 2009 to become the Emergency Solutions Grant. Both are called ESG, but previously to 2009, ESG, it meant emergency shelter, which now after 2009 under the HEART Act, ESG means emergency solutions. The HEART Act amends and reauthorizes the McKinney-Vento Homeless Assistance Act of 1987. The primary changes include a greater emphasis on homeless prevention, the addition of rapid rehousing, the regulatory requirements for homeless management information systems, HMIS use, increased emphasis on performance, and a requirement for greater coordination and collaboration between the recipient and the continuum of care. The regulations implementing the ESG program are found at 24 CFR Part 576. Eligible activities under the Community Development Block Grant. So specifically, we will only talk about planning and public service projects. Plans and studies. Activities including but not limited to comprehensive community or economic development plans and project feasibility studies. Note, please note, CDBG funds under this category are limited due to a regulatory cap on planning and administration. Specifically, Cook County may only utilize 20% of its annual entitlement allocation for these purposes, including internal administrative operations. So that means you want to do a planning project for your community, and you apply under planning to Cook County, and you are requesting $100,000. We are going to really scrutinize that particular project because it does take away from the Cook County administration of the entire CDBG project. So, for all of capital, for all of planning, for all of public services, we only have 20% to administer the entire CDBG program. Keep that in mind. But if it's a wonderful project, you may just get funded. Public services, activities including, but not limited to, employment services, which can include job training, substance abuse services, which can include counseling and treatment, fair housing counseling, services for senior citizens, services for homeless persons, etc. CDBG funds may be used to pay for labor, supplies, and materials, as well as to operate or maintain the portion of a facility in which the public service is located. Think of leasing costs. Think of maintenance of a building that you may own that you are using to house the public services that you are providing to the community. Please note, CDBG funds under this category are limited. I just said that. I apologize. I just said that. Eligible components and activities under the Emergency Solutions Grants Program. A broad range of programs and activities are eligible for funding in 5 components as listed below. Those of you who are wishing to apply under the Emergency Solutions Grants, please pay close attention. homeless prevention, assistance and services to prevent households from becoming homeless. Those who are at risk of homelessness, meaning you may be still stably housed, but there may have been a situation, an event that puts you at imminent risk. It puts your household at imminent risk of becoming homeless. Think of a loss of employment. Think of a major illness. Okay. Rapid rehousing. Rapid rehousing assistance can be used to help a homeless household move into permanent housing and achieve stability in that housing. So, to qualify for rapid rehousing, you must serve persons who are literally homeless per HUD's definition. This may include persons not meant in persons who are living in places not meant for human habitation, in their car, on the streets, in a shelter that has a limited amount of time that they could be there, etc. HMIS. Cook County has required subrecipients per HUD also. Subrecipients must use the Homelessness Management Information System under the Emergency Solutions Grants Program. We must track the persons that you are serving, the amount of these persons, and if they exit homelessness. And okay, for persons who are victims of domestic violence, these agencies must use a comparable database because the Violence Against Women's Act, and excuse me, it includes all persons who are victims of domestic violence. They are not entered into the Homelessness Management Information System. They are entered into a comparable database. Okay. Emergency shelter. Emergency shelter may include renovation, including major rehabilitation or conversion of a building to serve as emergency shelter. The emergency shelter must be owned by a government entity or private non-for-profit organization. Essential services, including case management, child care, education services, employment assistance and job training, outpatient health services, legal services, life skills training, mental health services, substance abuse treatment services, transportation, and services for special population. Shelter operations, including maintenance, rent, repair, security, fuel, equipment, insurance, utilities, food, furnishes, and supplies necessary for the operation of the emergency shelter. Please note that the first point under emergency shelter renovation, Cook County does not currently offer. So you may ask yourself, well, why did Erica Branch tell us about renovation? I told you about renovation because you may be in a municipality, your agency may be on the border of two different entitlement communities that receive the emergency solutions grants. For instance, if you are bordering Chicago, suburban Cook County, but you are in Cicero, or your agency is bordering Cicero, but you are not, your agency is not primarily in Cicero, but you apply for Cook County Emergency Solutions funding. The city of Chicago may offer rehabilitation under emergency services. The town of Cicero may offer renovation services under emergency shelter, but Cook County presently does not. But I wanted you all to have that information so you can do further research if you are in a special situation. Street outreach. Street outreach includes essential services related to reaching out to unsheltered homeless individuals and families, connecting them with emergency shelter, housing, or critical services, and providing them with urgent, non-facility based care. Each component includes several eligible activities. Applicants may apply for funding under one or multiple ESG components. For example, once you pull up and look at, which we will look at briefly, the ESG application, you may apply for emergency shelter only. You may apply for emergency shelter and rapid housing. You may apply for homeless prevention, rapid housing, emergency shelter, and street outreach all together under the Emergency Solutions Grants Program. Eligible areas for CDBG. Cook County currently receives CDBG funds as an annual entitlement allocation based on its qualification as an urban county by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. An entitlement community is what HUD uses a formula to say, to look at Cook County as an urban county. We are urban county because I believe we are over 50,000 persons in all of suburban Cook County. But there are other surrounding entitlement communities. There was a question asked earlier of Sylvia, why is a certain community on the list as being not served by Cook County? Because these communities listed here are HUD entitlement communities. So their city or town was designated by HUD to get their own entitlement grant from HUD directly. So Cook County will not put our entitlement funds in those areas when they have their own entitlement allocation. Eligible areas under ESG. Cook County currently receives ESG's funds as an annual entitlement allocation on the basis of its qualification as the urban county again. Cook County ESG funds may only be utilized within the limits of the current effective Cook County urban county area, excluding other entitlement communities also receiving ESG funding. Proposed funding applications must serve suburban Cook County either in its entirety or within a specified location. For example, pay attention right here. This is a little tricky. If your agency is located in the city of Chicago, but you apply for Cook County ESG funding, you may do that, but you must understand the persons that you are proposing to fund should be in suburban Cook County. Even though their last address could have been in Chicago, but that homeless person may have only been able to find shelter in Dawson. That person is eligible to be funded under the Cook County ESG program. Again, if you're in Evanston, your physical location of your agency, but you are serving persons under emergency shelter in a hotel, in Burbank, we may be able to service those persons under the Cook County ESG program. Minimum and maximum threshold requirements under CDBG. Public service projects. The minimum request for funding is $25,000. If you submit an application and you are requesting $20,000, the application is automatically not eligible because the minimum funding request is $25,000. The maximum funding request is $125,000. If you request more than that, that can also be a problem where your application is not reviewed. Note, based on the nature and anticipated impacts of the proposed project, economic development projects may not be subject to the funding request maximums noted above at the discretion of Cook County. Prospective applicants interested in submitting economic development proposals are strongly encouraged to contact Cook County for guidance regarding project eligibility prior to submission. If you are here for Sylvia's presentation, you will know that economic development projects are submitted on the capital improvement application. And there's a reason why for that, because economic development projects are not subject to the regulatory 15% cap on public services. So, out of the total amount of funding for Cook County CDBG, only 15% of that funding for program year 2024 is allowable to be used on public service projects. Minimum maximum threshold requirements under ESG. Minimums. Very similar to CDBG. The minimum application should be no less than 25,000. And the maximum, at minimum, applicant must certify at least a dollar for dollar match for ESG. The maximum that you may request under ESG is $125,000. Okay. Oh, sorry. Let me go back. Previous. Maximum. I have a little example here. Please mute yourselves, please. No more than 20% of the applicant's total budget taken from the latest audit submitted may be funded as an ESG grant. For example, if an organization's operating budget was $100,000, the highest ESG allocation they would be eligible for is $20,000. But remember, we don't fund anything under $20,000. Please be very careful. This is applicable to most new agencies that are applying for ESG. General, in Cook County Department of Planning and Development, we do not fund startup organizations. You must prove to us that the project that you are proposing, that you had a project such as the one that you are proposing in the past. You must demonstrate to us that you funded the project, that you had favorable outcomes for that project, and that you're able to demonstrate to Cook County that you will be a good steward of these federal funds that come to Cook County that we sub-grant to you. Okay. Something else very important to remember. The combined components of street outreach and emergency shelter will be capped at the greater of 60% of the total grant for the program year or the total amount obligated to a homeless assistance for the program year. For example, if our award was $100,000 for all of Cook County, and we had 10 agencies apply to Cook County. Out of those 10 agencies that apply, if, for instance, why do I do this math to myself? For instance, no more than $6,000 can go out under street outreach and emergency shelter combined. And Cook County keeps a very close watch on that because HUD keeps a very close watch on that. Are we here already? Let's go to previous. Okay. Application evaluation criteria. Applications are reviewed by Cook County staff to determine completeness, eligibility, and consistency with Cook County's current consolidated plan. Applications are reviewed and recommended by means of a competitive application evaluation process. A well-written application is no guarantee of funding. You should also make every effort to make sure the application is complete and concise. Please note, the individual application score is the primary factor in determining the recommended awards, but it is not the only factor that will be considered during the county's application review process. Let me bring over to you Public Services and Planning application evaluation criteria. We look for the completeness of the application. Here you can lose points. As Sylvia mentioned earlier, if you were here, if you do not submit documents that are required, you may lose 15 points per document. You can start, everyone starts with 100 points, and those points will be deducted if documents required are not submitted. Here's the caveat to that. Even though we will deduct that 15 points, you still have to submit the document because that document is required for a complete application. For example, you submitted your application and for some reason you could not upload your 501c3 designation as a non-for-profit organization. You lost 15 points, but you are still required to email your planner. This is the only point where your planner will accept an emailed portion of the application. This is after the planner reviewing your application has gone through the application and realized, oh, agency ABC forgot to include their 501c3 designation letter from the IRS. That planner contacts you and asks for that 501c3 designation letter. You may then email that letter back to your planner, so it could be included with your application. We look for project need and justification. All of these points here must be demonstrated. We look for the clarity and reasonableness of proposed costs. Did you ask us for $400,000? Which you're not eligible because the maximum is $125,000. Keep that in mind. Are you leveraging other funding with this funding? Do you have a match? Match is not required for CDBG, but we look at match favorably. You can receive up to 10 points here for match. And that's a simple calculation. If you ask for $100,000 and you're going to match your application with $20,000, there is a scale where you will receive probably 3 or 4 points for providing that match. If you provide a match at 100% of your request, that is an entire 10 points. We look for the capacity and skills to execute project. This section right here is very important. If you are a returning applicant and you had a subrecipient award through Cook County under CDBG in the past, we look at if your project is open, if you have funds remaining on a previous year's project, if you have submitted all of your performance reports for the previous year, are you a good spender? Talking to your planner, are your reimbursement requests complete and without issue? So, if you are a new applicant, how in your application have you demonstrated that you have the capacity and skills to execute the proposed project? And you must demonstrate all of these points here in the application. Financial capacity is where you can also lose points. You must provide your most recent audit. An audit is preferred, or other financial records. What are other financial records? If you are an agency and you may not meet the threshold doing an A133 audit, and I believe that threshold is that your agency received over $750,000 from federal funds, that you have to do an A133. Say you don't meet that requirement, and say your agency did not do an audit with an accounting firm. There's a form called a 990 that asks very pertinent questions that we will accept in lieu of an audit. Okay. We want to make sure that your audit is current if you do submit one. Explain and resolve audit findings, if any, and corrective actions. Lack of financial records may impact project eligibility. If you are a new agency and you're looking to apply for CDBG or ESG funding, and you don't have any financial records, that is an issue. We want to know any collaborative and innovation that you've used with this project. Does your project support or reflect regional or sub-regional collaboration? Does this project have any innovative or creative elements? Does this project address any barriers that prevent people from participating in the project? We like to see if your project has a connection to United Way's neighborhood network in Blue Island and/or Robbins. Okay. Both the CDBG and ESG applications are online at www.cookcountyil.gov. More importantly, please see these links. I just went over the evaluation criteria for CDBG. They're very similar for ESG. But let's go to the application, you guys. That's the application guide. I apologize. Let's see where we are. I'm sorry, bear with me 1 second. Here's the application. Okay, here. Once you hit the link, you want to look here, CDBG grant page. Very similar. You want to go down to 2024 CDBG Public Service / Planning Grant Application. You want to click on the application. You want to please complete this web form. If you do not complete this form, you can't move forward. Because the application itself, the PDF version, has to be uploaded into this grant form. We ask for some very general information at the top. Then as you go forward down, we want you to tell us what commissioner district you are in. What region you're in. We want to know the type of project under public services you're looking to apply for. You must upload the files, including the PDF application itself, along with all of the information that's required to submit with the application. So let us open the application itself really quickly. It's very, very important. 2024 application for public service planning. Page number 1. You must check these boxes off, and you must remember to upload the document into the web page. So, a list of board of directors must be uploaded. Your current certificate of good standing, dated within the last 45 days, no exceptions, must be uploaded. Your audit must be uploaded. Again here, you will lose 15 points for each of these items in checklist above that are missing. Okay. Again, the application is due Friday, March 22nd, 2024 at 5 p.m. And pretty standard application. Again, here, as Sylvia mentioned, if you select no, that your project is not consistent with the Cook County Consolidated Plan, thank you. We will not review your application under no circumstances because you selected no here. If no, stop, meaning your application isn't eligible. The same for the second question. Does the requested CDBG application replace other funding for the same service? If yes, stop. We do not want to replace funding. We want to be in addition to fund other funding that you have. We want to help you leverage as much funding as possible for the project. Is your agency faith-based? Yes or no? Is this a planning study or a public service project? Again, here, you must fall into the category of one of these national objectives. Most CDBG public service projects fall into either a presumed of low and moderate income benefit or LMI, meaning that you collect, excuse me 1 second. Excuse me, meaning that you collect income information on the persons that you service. Okay. Does this project meet a national objective? You fall into one of these categories, usually to be number 2. It could be number 1, area benefit. It could be. That's not really We don't see that a lot in public services, but we can. If you are in a area that has above 51% of the population in that area, above is 51% or greater, the residents in that area are below. I'm sorry, I forgot what I wanted to say. 51% or more of the persons in the area are low and moderate income. Your area may be designated as eligible, but is not, that's really more of a special circumstance. Most of the projects under public services are limited clientele. You want to know about the project need and justification? All of these questions you have to answer. I will stop at those that I usually have questions about. Let's give us all of the information here. Right here. Complete the following table for low and moderate income persons assisted for the primary purpose of the program, excluding complementary services such as referrals. Okay. We want you to tell us last year how many persons you served with the program that you are applying for, whether it was with CDBG funds or not. If you have a program, whether you want to provide tutoring services for after school to school age children in your area, if you performed or had this program in the previous year, how many children did you serve? If CDBG was used, please let us know. If not, we want to know total suburban Cook County, not entitlement, meaning if you serve 500 children, but only 400 was in suburban Cook County, you will put 400 here. Total suburban Cook County non-entitlement residents served by CDBG funds, you will put here as well. If you're leveraging funding, we want to know here. We don't know all your collaboration and innovation here. Any innovation you have of the proposed project, we'd like to know. If your HC provides any workforce development, we'd like to know all about that here. We will want more information about the persons you are proposing to fund. If these persons are not of a presumed benefit, do you collect income verification information? Their eligibility status for other governmental assistance program? What that means is, if you're looking to serve those same children for after school tutoring programs, if out of those 500 children that you serve, 400 being from non-entitlement communities, out of that 400, if 356 of those children is under the free lunch program, they are most likely eligible to be serviced with CDBG funds, because that is another federal program for low and moderate income people, the free lunch program. Okay. Self-certification. You must request source documentation from the person about their income. Okay. We would like to know your proposed project completion schedule. Okay. And what this is here, we want to know your budget. We want to know other funding that you receive, whether it's federal funding, ESG funding, if you get money from FEMA, etc. We would like to know that here. We need a resolution and certification. We do provide a template for both. Your template, the template is here. Please do not submit this page back to us. Please don't. Please use the template and put it on your agency letterhead for the resolution and the certification. Please don't get fancy. If you use the template exactly, you most likely will not have any issues. If you get fancy and say, well, I don't like this census right here, it doesn't sound right, and you want to change it around, you may do that. But if it does not say what the template is expressing, you may have to redo the certification. Okay? Just a tip. Just a tip. We need a matching fund certification here. If you have an agency seal, this form must be sealed. We want to know any racial equity information. We want to know who is employed at your agency, who is on your agency's board. For your area is a representation of the area making the decisions in your agency via your agency board or an employee at your agency. Okay. Your audited financial statements. I'm sorry, excuse me. We would like those as well. Let's briefly look at the ESG application. There are a couple of things I need to point out. The ESG application is a little different from CDBG, just a little. 1 second. Come on. Okay, 1 second. I'm having an issue. Okay. 1 second. What is going on here? Okay, let's see. Control. All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The ESG application still has a red form. All of the documents that are required must be uploaded, the very same as CDBG. The ESG application is just different in a couple of ways. Remember, we talked about ESG has about 5 different components, right? Each component must be, each component has a section. The same as CDBG here is this project consistent with our consolidated plan. You must tell us the purpose of the project. You must let us know the type of applicant. So let me get to the component section. Each component, you must tell us, are you applying for homeless prevention? Give us information here. Check the boxes that are applicable. Same for rapid housing, same for HMIS, the same for emergency shelter, and street outreach. Where's street outreach? Hold on 1 second. I'm missing something. This is Mercy. So you want to put all the information that's applicable. Staff salaries, no more than 6 persons can be on an entire ESG grant. But if you have multiple components, each person can work on a separate component listed here. 1 is for homeless prevention, 2 for rapid housing, 3 for street outreach, 4 emergency shelter, and so on. Okay. This is your budget here. We want to know more information here about any other funding that you're receiving from any other departments in Cook County. You may have a Justice Advisory Council grant. Let us know there, right here. Then we have a template for the resolution and certification. Oh, guys, almost 4. We have a matching fund certification. Right here is very important. An ESG certification on religious activities. You must let us know here that your agency does not prohibit persons from involvement in your program because of any of their personal religious activities. This is a certification that your agency had, the same person that signs the application, same persons that may sign your resolution certification. It could be your executive director or your board president, must also certify that your agency will not prohibit anyone from participating because of any religious activities. You want to know, of course, more about racial information here of your board and of your actual agency. I thank you all. I'm sorry I went so long. I didn't anticipate to. And Cheryl, would you read any questions I may have?
Of course, I will.
Thank you.
Can we use CDBG funds for residents in communities receiving their own CDBG funds, like Skokie and Evanston, if they are part of our larger service area? Or do we need to avoid using Cook County CDBG funds for our services in those communities?
You should avoid at all costs. If you, like I said, Skokie has their own funds. Skokie residents should really be with Skokie CDBG funds. Remember, let me break this down for you. Usually we get about 50 to 55 public service applications. Sometimes we could get as many as 75. But we only have 15% of $11 million. How much is that? $1.6 million. We want Skokie to pay for their residents. Does that make sense?
Okay, next question is, can a municipality apply for capital improvement and public service?
Yes. Yes. Well, no, I'm sorry. A municipality must have a separate 501c3 designation to apply for public service. So if you are in, say, a township that has a separate 501c3 that they can apply for a public service under, yes. But if you are applying at the town, just at the town, no.
Okay, next question, Erica. The application guide says $100,000 max for public service, or is it 125?
You know what? Let me look back at the guide, and it may say 100,000, but the application has
125.
125.
And
we're
we'll
gonna
accept that.
We're gonna
Yeah.
honor 125, and we will definitely change the application guide. Thank you for that, Danny.
Can you receive funds from the planning grants for arts education and entrepreneurship, workforce development programming?
That sounds interesting.
I'd like to know
Okay.
more about
Right, let me read
the
it
arts
again.
education
Can
because
receive
it is
funds.
also an ARPA program. So we could sit, and the applications are out now for grants for that program, also from our bureau. So I can't see the name. Here we go. Omuzua, sorry for mispronouncing. But if you could email Erica or myself, we can explore this a little, and we could send you to the ARPA folks who are doing arts planning, but we need to know exactly.
Well,
You know,
let
are
me
you in
answer
this?
your question.
Yeah,
Can you receive funds from the planning grants for arts education, entrepreneurship, workforce development program? Now, when you say planning grants, do you mean public service grant? Because this doesn't read as a planning project. If it
you
is
know,
a public
yeah, I
service
think
project,
Erica, we need to
mhm,
talk to this person because I
mhm.
think it's more ARPA than you for right
Okay,
now.
sure,
And they have a lot more money than Erica, so.
yeah, they do.
And also Erica and Cheryl, from the registration list that I sent y'all, I do believe that their email would be on it. So even
Oh,
if,
good.
so they can either reach out to y'all or you can reach out to them, whichever is easiest. But I wanted to let you know, just in case, that you do have contact information.
Perfect. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you, Laura.
That's all I
Any
see
other
right now,
questions?
Erica.
Really?
Yeah, surprised.
Me
Okay, you might
too.
be able to let everybody out at 4:02, unless there are any more
Yes.
questions.
Any last call for questions? Questions going once? Questions going twice? Questions are closed.
The question
Oh,
asker
I have one.
just raised their hand. Sorry, Erica.
Yes.
Yeah, I see that.
Hi, it's Samozua. I just
Oh,
was
good.
wondering if I could have, thank you all so much for the information too. Oh, I see it. Okay, I'm gonna reach out to you, Miss Erica, about the
Mhm.
question, because it was for the planning grant, and I was looking to do more arts education and entrepreneurship program. And we already do things in the schools, but I was
Okay.
looking to do a lot more community based, and we work with a lot of underserved communities
Okay.
in the Cook County area. So
Okay.
that's what this will be for. And we're also working on just building out more camps and things for them, and
Mhm.
then they can actually also, start working under the organization too. But I will definitely email you all the question so then
Please.
that I can just have further information.
Erica's looking
Okay,
for
thank you.
interesting projects, so please email her.
Okay,
Email
Thank
us,
you.
yes.
I'm gonna go ahead and do that too. And Miss Cheryl Cook, should I CC you on the email
You
or
can
talking
you
from
can
the
CC me, but Erica's the lead, but please CC me and we'll take care of it together.
Okay, may I please have your email as well?
Yeah, it's Cheryl, CHERYL .Cook, COOKE at Cook County IL. Is it .org? I don't email myself.
.gov.
.gov, right?
Did you just wanna type it in the chat?
Oh, yeah, I can do that.
I really appreciate you
Thank
all.
you,
Thank
David.
you so much.
Okay, questions are closed. Thank you all for sitting through this presentation. I hope you got a lot of information. I hope that you have a great time submitting your applications. Please don't, please do not wait till the last minute to submit your application online. We denied at least 5 applications last year because they were late, meaning 5:15, 5:20. There are no exceptions. There are no, oh, my computer wasn't working. Try to do it a week before, 3 days before. You do it the day of, there's bound to be an issue. So please, please, do yourself a favor and try to be proactive and submit your application early. Thank you all so much. And I will see the applications really soon. I'm excited. Thank you.